Well, you certainly know what that theme song means. That's right. The most rapidly moving in the polls radio talk show for America Matters Media, heard on 1180 AM, a Lotus broadcast radio station in northern Nevada and northern California, and also heard all around the world on americamatters.us. The live version, like right now, and I'm talking about Wednesday afternoon at 4:30. And then tomorrow morning, that will be Friday morning at 4:30 a.m. The recorded version of this show will air again, which is also 7:30 prime drive time on the East Coast. This popular show always has most phenomenal guests that have such an impact on our great nation, if not the world, and I'm sure that today is no different. This is the Senator Omer Raines Show. So without further ado, let's get to the creator and the host of the Senator Omer Raines Show, Senator Omer Raines.
Thank you, Ed. Hello, folks. I'm Omer Raines, welcoming you to American Matters Media. And as Ed just pointed out, we broadcast this program to the world not only in English, but by way of translation in various other languages of the world as well. This program is intended to be rather eclectic in nature. It's not going to ever focus solely on one topic or subject matter, but the one thing that we do promise is that whatever the topic, whomever the guest, we encourage diverse points of view. We welcome comments or questions from the listening audience. The call-in number is 844-790-8255. Or if you wish to text us your comment or question, that number is 775-237-2266. Okay, with that in mind, I want to introduce today's guest. His name is Jack O'Connell. Jack O'Connell is a person who has decades of public service. Although he was trained as a teacher, instructing government and history at a high school in Oxnard, Ventura County, California, there came a point in time when he assumed the position of Santa Barbara County Coordinator for a state senator. He thereafter had the opportunity to run for the California Assembly, where he served for 6 terms, and in fact was Speaker pro tem. Then he served in the California Senate for 2 terms. Remember, those Senate districts are much larger than congressional districts, much more important, really. And he authored a lot of landmark legislation. And eventually he ran for the nonpartisan job of Superintendent of Public Education in California, overseeing over 1,000 school districts.
Wow.
With a real emphasis on shrinking class sizes, on cementing higher achievement standards, helping close the racial achievement gap, and I can go on and on. Today, Jack O'Connell serves as a much-in-demand speaker and consultant throughout the country on all matters of education, but with special interest on and interest in preparing students for entry into a rapidly changing global economy. So, welcome, Jack.
Senator Raines, thank you very much. Always nice to be with you. I remember those days fondly in Ventura County teaching high school, and I can remember one particular evening class that you may not remember when you were representing the Central Coast in the California State Senate. You came through and talked to our students, and that, as much as anything, really motivated me way back when to follow in your footsteps and pursue a career in public service.
Wow.
So it's very nice to be with you.
You know, if you don't mind, one of the things that Senator Raines always does is personalize the show, Jack O'Connell, for us. Where were you born and educated, and what led you to the illustrious career in politics that you shared? And how'd you get that start, by the way?
Born in New York, Ed, and then, frankly, my dad was a huge Brooklyn Dodger baseball fan.
Amen.
So when the Dodgers left Brooklyn in 1958, my dad sold his business, and we ended up not far from the Dodger Stadium. So it kind of took the word fanatic to the extreme. And then I'm a graduate of the California public school system, right through the community college, CSU, Cal State Fullerton, Long Beach State, and then had an opportunity to run for the state assembly, as Senator Raines said, in 1982, and very lucky and been successful, and it was a great run.
Well, listen, Jack, we've known each other for an awfully long time, over 40 years, so I think we can dispense with the titles of senator or superintendent and just be Jack and Omer. And by the way, Jack, we're not going to talk today about basketball and about the one time you luckily scored a basket against a member, as I recall, a noted member of the Los Angeles Lakers. I think you only demonstrated that if anyone shoots at the hoop long enough, eventually one may actually go in.
The story that Senator Raines is referencing is when I was at Oxnard High School, I guarded Jamal Wilkes, who, of course, as Omer said, went on to become a world champion with the Lakers, played with the San Francisco Warriors. And the true story is I held him to 44 points.
In the first quarter.
The first half.
Okay.
I tried to steal his tennis shoes at halftime. I thought maybe then it would have been fair.
Okay.
We become acquaintances afterwards, and he's just as good off the court as he was on the court.
Well, he was came from a great family, Ventura family. His
Correct.
father was a pastor there. And anyway,
Correct.
We're going to focus today on education, though. And
I figured our time would be up.
I know you want to run out the clock on basketball, but I want to know, first of all, about the phrase achievement gap, because I've heard that so many times. Can you define that phrase for us and provide us with any possible strategies that are utilized to close the gap?
And we have till 5 a.m. to address the topic. To me, when I was the elected state superintendent, I really tried to make that a focus, was close the achievement gap. And my definition is we would look at subgroups, and by that, a variety of subgroups. We looked at it based upon ethnicity, based upon socioeconomic status, students that brought special education needs to our schools, and then we tried to look at English language learners as well, and then we tried to see why is it that kids of color, kids who are learning the English language, kids from low socioeconomic backgrounds, our special ed kids, we're lagging behind primarily their Asian and Caucasian counterparts when we extrapolated the data. And so we tried to develop strategies to try to narrow that gap. And I have to say right up front, we know all kids can learn, and we know all students can learn to very high levels. But the reality is the starting line is not the same for all of our students. And so what services can we provide? How can we make sure that it's a more level playing field? I enjoyed listening to Bernie Sanders when he talked about, in society, it's not level and it's not fair for every, and we have issues of social justice we have to address, and we have that in education. And the reality is, and it's oftentimes people don't want to discuss it, but we do have an achievement gap. We need to address it. We need to admit it. We need to address it, and we need to have strategies so that we can make sure that these students with tremendous potential have a fair, legitimate, and better shot of success in this new economy.
Well, let me ask this then, Jack. I know that at least I think this is still true, that over 50% of the students in public schools in California, and I believe in Nevada as well, are of Hispanic or Latino ethnicity. Does this create language and we have other minorities, but I take it from what you're saying, language difficulties are a major impairment or impediment to achieving well.
We do, obviously, many challenges. There are school districts in California. I'm thinking of LAUSD, over 100 different languages spoken. I know that well over, I think the last numbers I saw were about 40% of the kindergarten kids in California came to school every day just to learn the English language. And then when we give our statewide tests that are required by the federal government under NCLB, when I was state superintendent, that's not the case today. There is no statewide test. We give the kids a test in English, and we want them to learn English. So it's going to present more challenges. But again, these are schools...
Jack, I need to interrupt you, and I'll tell you why. Mm-hmm. You used the expression NCLB. I assume that's in reference to No Child Left Behind, the George W. Bush Act of 2001. Is that correct? I know there was later, in 2015, wasn't there, what was it called, Every Student Succeeds Act?
Correct, and President Obama signed that in December of 2015. Absolutely correct, Omer, and that now supersedes what was NCLB. But and we're in much better position for it. I think this is better for our students, and I think it's better for our systems. We shouldn't have punitive measures imposed upon us from the federal government. Do we want to have some type of guidance? Yes. Goals? Yes. But not punitive punishment for schools. Okay. Many times these schools were making real improvements.
Jack, I need to interrupt you only because we, of necessity, take a commercial break. We were right back.
Okay. Pay the bills.
Let me tell you about a friend of mine, Jorge. He's the owner of Atomic Bootlegger Lounge inside Sierra Sid's Casino. I want to personally invite you to join us for Whiskey Wednesday, every third Wednesday of the month, featuring one of their high-quality, top-shelf spirits. It's Whiskey Wednesday. For just $10, you receive a welcome cocktail made by one of their rock star bartenders, a generous sample pour for tasting, and access to an exclusive brand presentation. Every month, they donate a portion of the proceeds to the Wainema Wild Horse Sanctuary. The Atomic Bootlegger Lounge, locally owned and operated, and care about our local community? Come on down and experience the bootlegger difference. The Atomic Bootlegger Lounge is located inside of Sierra Sid's Casino at 200 North McCarran, just off I-80. Please drink responsibly, and remember, at Bootlegger, we speak easy and glow home.
We're talking to Victor from Precision Diamonds. Victor, I don't know anything about jewelry at all. I don't know anything about diamonds. I need to get something for my lady.
Well, you know what, Jim? Come on in. We are your local jeweler, and we want to be your personal shopper. For 27 years, we know that we are doing business directly with the right manufacturers. We have negotiated great prices. They have the right trend, the right designs, quality, from earrings to pendants to you name it, we've got it.
That means you're going to help me from beginning to end.
My family, we've been working for this for a long time. I don't know how to change oil or anything, but I know diamonds. I know jewelry. So if you want to come in, you don't have to worry about anything. We'll find the exact gift that you're looking for that's going to make you look like $1 million, that you really took the time and effort to choose something, not just say, I'll take this. You know, your lady will know that you took the time and found a beautiful gift for her.
Thank you, Victor. Precision Diamonds, your local jeweler across from the convention center.
Did you know that Noble Pie Parlour has been voted best pizza in Northern Nevada 5 times? They make deliciously different pizzas with the freshest ingredients, like house-made meatballs and sausage, caramelized fennel and onion, and Granny Smith apples. Noble has excellent options for health-conscious pizza fans, too, including vegan and gluten-free, and they always buy the best local produce at places like our Great Basin Food Co-op. The award-winning Noble Pie Parlour has also been voted Best Wings and won the Wingfest Championship 3 times for their famous Pittsburgh-style wings. Noble Pie Parlour has a great weekend brunch, too. Check out the Cal's Omelet and build your own Bloody Mary. Noble even has a full bar with local beers and creative cocktails like the Grey Fox with homemade Earl Grey syrup. Noble also caters and delivers. They're located at 239 West 2nd Street next to the El Cortez Hotel. Call 775-622-9222. That's 622-9222. Or visit noblepieparlor.com.
Yes, we're talking to Jack O'Connell, and he is a master of education and has an incredible career of involvement and is so highly respected throughout the nation. Jack, it appears, even based on the discussion we had right before the break, that the federal government is more and more involved in education, K through 12. And number one, is that true? And if it is true, is there any chance that more at least decision-making will be returned to the local level?
Well, Omer, very good question. And clearly there was more federal involvement under the previous administration. The whole No Child Left Behind Act really preempted many of the state policies. And now with the ESSA, as it's called, Every Student Succeeds Act, that, as you pointed out earlier, President Obama signed into law in December of 15, it really does return more of the power, more of the authority to the states. And I think that's going to be healthy. It's the right strategy, right approach, and it's going to clearly give the states more authority.
Oh, very, very good, at least in my opinion. Now, you know, we are broadcasting throughout the nation and abroad as well, but we broadcast out of Reno, Nevada. And Nevada K through 12 programs, as I'm sure you know, do not rank very high when it comes to comparisons with other states. In fact, that's an understatement. And I suspect there are many reasons for that. But tell me this, to the extent that changes occurring in California are important, and I think they are, because the engines that drive America usually come out of California, whatever the category. But to what extent are those changes important to a state like Nevada?
Well, I think they're very important, and many of the strategies that we can implement in California then can be replicated in Nevada and beyond. Our demographics are not that dissimilar between the two states. I know Nevada, like California, very mobile student population as well, and there's numerous studies. In fact, some out of UCSB, Santa Barbara, the Gewurz Center, and I know you are very close to the Don Gewurz, and it
yes.
bears his name, and I know you've been there. But studies on the effects of student mobility, that when students attend 2 or 3 different schools a year, as many do in many of these states, because of the nomadic nature of employment, oftentimes farm workers, seasonal employment, that significantly adversely impacts the students. But now with our standards statewide, what we call the Common Core standards, I'm hopeful that we'll be teaching these concepts more unilaterally across the state, across the country. When I first heard the concept of Common Core about 15 years ago, I was in Washington, D.C. All the other 49 states sent their state superintendents, and I was quite concerned because California has these world-class state standards, and I was going to defend them, take off my shoe and pound the table and say California is not going to diminish our standards. And to the architects' credit of our standards, we didn't bring California down, nor some of the other states, Massachusetts, New York, some of the other. We brought states up to where we were.
Excellent.
And so it's much like funding in California. You remember the famous decision in the early 70s, Serrano.
I surely do.
And where we tried to level districts up in funding with standards, we're trying to bring everyone up. So it takes some adjustment. I think we're on the right track, and I think we'll be benefiting from that in the years to come.
Is the funding disparity between school districts in other states other than California, because of Serrano, it cannot happen so much in California, but is that really, really important?
It is important, and then it also varies from state to state in terms of how much money comes from perhaps it's local property taxes, where there's a cap in California, and you recall Prop 13, the property tax initiative, very well.
Yes.
I know in 1978, June, and then state contributions. Now, the state of California actually makes a pretty sizable investment in public education, but the locals do not, and the locals are restricted on this property tax initiative. So when the state's doing well, the school districts tend to do well. When the state's not doing well financially, it adversely impacts the school districts as well.
Well, now, Jack, I've read, and I'm really not that up to speed on it, that California's new public school history curriculum will reflect better the state's diversity. If that be the case, is that going to have a national impact, or can we yet answer that question?
I think it will have a national impact, Omer, and you are correct, and it has an impact in many ways. One is when you have nearly 15% of the students in your state, textbooks will be adopted, will be used. They're going to tailor them towards the big guy, on the puzzle here, towards California, so that those books can then be used and replicated in other states. Traditionally, historically, every state does not have its own unique history textbook. We like to have it. The best example I can give you, when I was superintendent a few years back, we were going to adopt mandatory algebra for 8th graders. And I received phone calls from my colleagues, other state superintendents around the country, asking if that was true. And then they wanted to begin to prepare strategies for their 8th grade teachers. Hey, how do we teach algebra? We have not been teaching this up to this point.
Wow. You know, Jack, I know, and I've indicated already, that you had the responsibility of overseeing better than 1,000 school districts in the state of California. But I also read, and you got a lot of publicity for the fact that you, on average, attended personally over 200 schools a year. You were actually out in the field rather than sitting in a plush office in Sacramento. How important was that insofar as development of your own policy matters, your understanding of what the challenges were and how they ought best to be addressed?
And I never used the hot tub or the sauna or the spa in my office either. I thought it was, and I'm kidding, that was never existed. But no, I thought it was very important, and I got some very good ideas for education. People helped me frame arguments for education, and it's just those were really good ideas. And you know that from your days, in the legislature as well. You can receive so many good ideas, input from people on the ground, people, the implementers, the teachers. And I enjoy talking to students. Some of the best committee hearings we had when we would take them on the road, I believe they're called the interim hearings, and we oftentimes said we only want to hear from students. And I can remember one in Ventura, Omer. We were out at the big hotel in the marina. You've been there 100 times.
Yes.
And we had a legislative hearing, and it was students only, and it was on drugs. And I mean, to this day, I remember the students saying, don't design your drug prevention programs for high school students. You've missed it. You're too late. You've got to get it down into the elementary schools. That's really where, we're exposed to it. That's where we need the tools. That's where we need to have the curriculum. And these are high school students giving us some very thoughtful, to me it was very enlightening testimony on a particular issue.
Jack, to the best of your ability, do you know if your colleagues are cohorts in other states, those charged with the type of responsibilities with which you were charged, get out into the field as you did? And you did it in the biggest state of all.
Yeah, I think some do. And while I thought it was really important to do the job, I was also elected, so like you. So I knew that it was kind of a twofold for me. It was good policy and good politics. And so I would go out, and we'd always invite media. And so from that perspective, it was good. But one thing I didn't know, Omer, when I got elected to the state superintendent's position, every state has a state superintendent. Some are called secretaries, some are called commissioners. But of the 50 states, at the time, only 16 were elected. Today, I'm told it's 15. I don't know if you were aware of that. I thought they were all elected, and they weren't. So I think one of the benefits by being elected is you are the independent voice for, I viewed myself as the advocate for the students. I mean, teachers are very well represented with their professional associations, administrators, school board members, the classified personnel, very well represented. Parents are very well represented. Whom did I not mention? The students.
The students.
And so that's why I always viewed myself and had a lens, let's make decisions that are in the best interest of the students.
Great. Jack, we have not much time left, but would you briefly, and I mean 20, 30 seconds, talk about the future of education to the extent you can see it here in our country?
I'm very much upbeat and optimistic. We need to make sure that our facilities are modern. They reflect the needs for our private sector, for the business sector. I'm very optimistic with the Common Core standards, the state standards that have been adopted. I'm nervous about a teacher shortage, and so we do need to do more to attract the best and the brightest amongst us to this critically important profession.
Okay, before we leave, I've already mentioned that you're a very noted consultant and speaker throughout the country. Could you provide your contact information if anyone is listening that might want to be in touch with you?
Our address in Sacramento is 925 L as in Lucky, L Street, Suite 1200, Sacramento, California, and it's 95814.
Great. All right. Well, listen, Jack, you've left a large imprint on California and indeed National Education. We're honored to have you as a guest. By the way, I should mention that this program is being expanded from 1/2 hour to 1 hour as of next Friday, August 12, between 12 and 1 o'clock. But, Jack, again, honored to have you as a guest. Now go out and practice at least a basic post-up move, maybe learn to drive the lane to the left, and while you're at it, practice some free throws.
I never had any trouble going to my left.
Take care, my friend.
Senator Omer Raines, right here on America Matters Media.